All you, Jerry.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne. Welcome, everybody. Let's begin the evening with the Pledge of the Flag. I do not have a flag behind me, so use your best imagination for this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. So welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see those of you who have joining us tonight for our annual program launch. This year, a little bit different than last year. We actually know what we're launching into. Last year, we were kind of changing day by day as everything in the world changed day by day, but we know we have a plan in place this year. We know where we're going and where we want to be. And really tonight, we just want to touch on a couple objectives. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on everything tonight. We want to educate you about a few things, including where digital information is available on our website, including the program launch tab, the virtual scouting hub, and the digital resources tab. We're going to answer any questions and review some information on the website. Right now, the council's website is still kind of a fluid document that's changing almost daily. As we listen to complaints and suggestions on it, we're trying to implement those and make those changes to make the website a better, easier to use tool for everybody. We're going to briefly introduce a new registration and accounting platform called Black Pug. Further training will be later on another call. We're going to introduce a new fall product sale vendor, which again, more training will happen on that at a later date. We're going to introduce the fall's recruiting theme, which this year will be Escape the Great Indoors. Rollout will take place in late June. We're going to introduce the 2021 Cub Scout activity schedule that we put together and provide a few summer camp updates. And again, more training and information will come out on that at a later date. Again, what we want to do is introduce you to a lot of this stuff and show you how to get to the information you need to take your units to the next step. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Jim Milham, our Scout executive. He may have a few comments he'd like to make, maybe answer a few questions if there are any. I believe he has to zoom off to another Zoom meeting after this one. So all you, Jim.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate everyone's attendance tonight. As Jerry mentioned, I do need to jump on a different Zoom call. For those who may have been monitoring and have recall some of the national issues that we've been monitoring, the BSA is going through a reorganization or a bankruptcy right now. There is no resolution, but we are getting closer, and I'm confident that the parties that are working on this are going to come out with a plan that will help us, the council, and the national organization move forward. There's no question we'll be different as an organization, but I think for a positive and a reason to help us move forward. But I did want to just share a few, insights to program planning and some of the critical things in scouting, as we move forward here. Like Jerry mentioned, last year was much different. There are a lot of unknowns, and I think we still have some of those unknowns that we have to work through. But we have now a plan. We monitor it. I would kind of point out Michelle Beeman has been our COVID expert. She's been managing that process for us, both through the CDC and the American Camping Association, as well as the BSA. So we really have all the tools in place to be successful. We know how to run a program now with COVID-19 protocols. So all I tell you is let's keep monitoring those things that we provide to the BSA. Obviously use those things that we're very well aware of, always wearing masks, socially distancing, and using those good hygiene practices that frankly we should always be using. And if you follow the safe reopening of scouting and those guidelines, everything's going to be fine. When we look at the program launch part of scouting, It always amazes me how quickly this happens. But the reality is as we start looking at 2021, 2022, it's really critical that you look at the resources that we're going to talk about today, look at the calendar, and really start building your program for your local unit and making sure you try to put all that we have to offer, as well as what your committee can offer in providing a great program for scouting. And the program means, how are you going to fundraise? How are you going to develop that budget? How are you going to develop a training program for your adult leadership? What are things that you need to do to make sure we get our scouts out this summer, getting that experience? So I believe all the experts are on the call tonight. And I just challenge everyone, to kind of follow what we're going to provide to you. I know we're still working on the council calendar to get that wrapped up and have that out by mid-June for everyone. But I just want to thank everyone for taking the time tonight and really sitting down after you get this material and really looking and working with your committees to have that time to do program planning and really set that calendar for scouting. So if there's any questions for me as a scout executive, I'm welcome to take them right now. I do want to highlight, we may not talk about it, but we have continued work at Hawk Mountain Scout Reservation. The Willits Dining Hall is complete, the renovation project, so everything is now done. We finished our Pathfinder pavilions, so that project's been done. We're working on the water line right now, so we've really not stopped getting those projects finished. So I'm really excited about that. And again, thank you and wish you a good night.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
Appreciate your time and thank you for your comments. So we'll go ahead and get started this evening. I'm going to do something that I normally don't do, which is to say, while your presenters are speaking on specific topics, if you choose to look at the website and kind of bounce around on the digital resources tab, which is brand new, the virtual scouting hub, which has been updated, and the program launch tab has also been updated. Feel free to do that. But Jim had talked about meeting and restarting, and your safety, the safety of your youth and your participants and your parents and yourselves as volunteers is of the utmost importance to us, the staff, in doing that. So we have a document called Scouting Restarting Materials, and it's in the frequently searched documents with that. And it basically, it's a scouting document. It's at scouting.org and it's /coronavirus. So again, Jim had mentioned there's some information on there from the BSA, the CDC, the World Health Organization, etc. So again, the concept tonight is to tell you where information is, to not sit and discuss and digest it and talk about it ad nauseum, but just to show you where you can search for us. One of the easiest ways to look for documents that we've uploaded and active links is to just go to the search bar on our website and search your topic. If you can't find the information you're looking for there, go to Google and do a search. Just type in BSA and then ask your question. Generally, it's going to take you to scouting.org, exactly where you need to go. So Jerry, you talked a little bit about the theme, Escape the Great Outdoors. Do you want to continue on that conversation?
Yeah, sure, Brian. And I guess I should apologize to everybody. I kicked this meeting off and never introduced myself, assuming everybody knows me, which looking at the names on there, I know they don't because I don't know everybody. But I'm Jerry Beaver. I'm chairman of membership for the council. I'm also still a committee chair. I was a Cub Master for 13 years. So I've been around the program a while. So you folks that are sitting out there that are den leaders or what have you, I understand what it's like to be in your shoes because I have done and I'm still doing those same jobs. But yeah, this year's theme is for membership is going to be called Escape the Great Indoors. These are going to have flyers available for this in the fall with the theme on it. National BSA is actually going to be rolling out a membership plan, which will come out to staff on June the 10th. And then later in the month, that will be released to all the volunteers for you to use what that plan is. We'll provide information to you as soon as it becomes available to us. So again, those tabs that Brian was talking about, or those search links, continue to use those for information if you're not finding or getting what you think you need. We're also going to be offering some free and low-cost Cub Scout outdoor events, which are going to be offered from May till November. We're encouraging our current members to bring a friend. No charge or a low cost, again, both the Scout and to the Scout's friend, and guests can join at any of the events or at a pack event or online. So there's several ways that we can get them to join right now with if they want to be a Scout after they've attended one of the events and had a good time. The schedule of activities can be found on the council's calendar and the program launch tab by clicking the see frequently searched documents and at the council office. Cole, are you able to bring that flyer up for us? Just a minute here and see if we can get it up here.
There you go, Mr. Jerry.
Okay, thanks, Cole. Appreciate it. So you see all the dates are on there and the events where they're going to be at. Some of them are going to be held at the council office, some are going to be held at camp, and then there's going to be a few happening at other areas throughout the council. So they're on there. Take a look at them. The dates are there. Again, May 15th is our next one, which will be at Ole Fire Company. They're going to be building rockets, kites, doing crafts, and Rita's is going to be there. And it's a free event. They're all listed there. I'm not going to read through them all. You can.
15th. Yeah, I know. I would have taken
The events with a fee are pretty well the ones that are happening at camp when we have movie nights, whether it's swimming a movie, fishing in a movie, and that's $15 per car. So all the people you can squeeze in your car to come up to enjoy the movies on the big screen at camp, bring them up. And again, bring a friend. Let the friends experience the good time that our boys and daughters are experiencing already. Looking forward, peer-to-peer recruitment is probably going to be our key way of recruiting again this year. Luckily, we've had pretty good success with schools right now. Our Ds have been reaching out to principals and superintendents, and we've had pretty positive responses from them as far as sending flyers home, whether they be a physical paper flyer or an electronic version that's being put on a school's website. So some of those will be coming home in May. If you have information on a PAC event that you're doing that you'd like to recruit at, definitely get a hold of your DE and they will help you put a flyer together to customize for your unit. And again, in September, like we traditionally do. How else are we looking at recruiting in 2021? Yard signs are at the office. They're available. Get them, put them near your school, put them near those hot spots in your neighborhood, outside your church, at a busy intersection, outside those convenience stores where a lot of people pass through. Also, I mentioned before that you can still register online. You want to be sure your beascout.org pins are active and up to date. And your unit key 3 should have access to those. And if not, again, reach out to your district executives. They will be able to help you anything you need there. And again, reach out to your DEs. They have all the information, all the where to's to go to if you need help with putting together a flyer for any events. And remember, again, we're not going to be able to be quite as traditional this year as we have in the past. So look for those community events where maybe before you weren't looking to set up a table and get the word out there. Let's see. Just looking at what's coming up here in the chat. And one of those is, what about making a movie advertisement to show the kids in classrooms? That's something we looked at, I believe, a little bit last year, Brian. I don't know if you have more on that for us at this time.
We're doing more than just the 2 movies that we mentioned here on this flyer. They're specific to the Bring a Friend and kind of the membership initiative. Michelle Beeman, who's on the call, She is working on, and I believe posted for the first time in the last Scout Wire, the dates and movies that we're actually going to be showing later this year with that. So what I would say is that if anyone on our call here gets permission from the schools to send that type of information home, let us know. We'll work with you to be able to do that. Our focus will just be on getting approvals with the flyers related to recruitment in the communities. But and folks that have been on these things before have heard me say it's much easier for community members to get a superintendent or a principal to agree to help promote scouting than it is when Cole walks in to a school district in Black Rock and he lives in Berks County, or I walk in and I live in Berks County, and we're not a taxpayer in that particular community. So, but yes, we definitely want to advertise those drive-in opportunities. They were popular last year. If you do plan to attend, please register early in being able to do that. And we had a good time last year. We showed about 8 movies last year, I think. And we do.
So
also
you don't,
plan,
yeah, you
also,
don't have to register on Tentaroo, just so you know, because a lot of, we do have people that come from the neighborhood and they're not necessarily Boy Scouts, and it's really hard for them sometimes to get on Tentaroo and to make those reservations. So we'll take your money if you show up.
Okay, thanks, Brian and Michelle. One thing on recruiting is, remember, recruiting doesn't just happen in May. It doesn't just happen in September. Recruiting happens 24/7. Recruiting doesn't just happen when you're wearing your uniform either. When you're sitting at those ball games or soccer games, watching your kids play and you're around the other parents, don't be afraid to mention and bring it into the conversation that your kids are involved in scouting, whether they're a boy or a girl. And we don't forget to remind them that we are now taking girls. And our Cub Scout girl numbers are actually very good. So, but recruiting, the best recruiting is going to happen to you folks, you volunteers that are down there in the grassroots levels when you're sitting at a picnic with somebody or at a parade or whatever the case may be, maybe even sitting around the lunch table at work. Don't be afraid to brag on your kids a little bit for being in Scouts. If your son hit a home run last night at the Little League game, you're certainly going to talk about it tomorrow around the water cooler. If your kid earned 3 new badges for Weeblos this past month, I think it's just as important to talk about that, because scouting is still a program that's happened. And that's the greatest thing about what happened in this past year is, while everything else shut down, scouting still went on. Eagle Scouts still came out of Hawk Mountain Council last year, even though it had to happen on a virtual basis. So we kind of got ahead of the curve on this virtual stuff pretty quick, and we've been able to continue to grow through it. So when you're out there in public, don't be afraid to bring up Scouts and point people in the right direction if they're interested in getting their youth involved. On that, I'm going to return. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Jerry. And going back to the movie theme, a little bit different spin on this. Our national organization, this is a good segue into the Boy Scouts Brand Center. If you go into the Brand Center, that's basically the Boy Scouts catalog, if you will, of marketing and membership materials. So we have, the Boy Scouts of America has 20-second, 30-second, 90-second, 120-second videos that our national office will help us customize. If Cole, Josh, myself, the field staff, if we reach out to them, and we can do a customized message that if somebody has a website for your pack or troop and you would want to have that on your website, if you'd want to have it on your Facebook page. So we can do that as well with that. And there's photos. Again, I had mentioned the videos, the flyers, the information guide, logos with that. If you're not aware, every one of our units has a QR code that's been created and assigned by the Boy Scouts of America. So any of your promotional materials, if you want to put that QR code on there, you're able to do that, which is going to take them to your beascout.org webpage, which is going to tell them your contact information and also how to join. There's information in that brand center about an initiative that's been around for many years called Adopt a School. And it basically just helps you with how to go in and approach the leadership at your school and come up with a casual agreement that says we're going to do X number of community service projects a year, and you're going to give us X number of opportunities to promote our pack or our troop or crew with that. 5 or 6 years ago, there was a volunteer position rolled out called a new member coordinator. And the BSA nationally and locally, we recommended that units have a liaison to welcome new parents into the pack, into the troop. For those folks that didn't know scouting and didn't know anybody when they walked in the front door, so they weren't so intimidated. There's resources there about that program as well. So again, that's on the BSA Brand Center. If you were to do a Google search and you went to BSA and you went to scoutingwire.org, you could find it there. But again, you can also find that on our program launch page that's on the website. We also, as a council, thank you, Cole. As a council, we're going to be running Facebook Geo Fencing ads this year as well. So when we initiate a free activity day that you saw on the flyer, or work with units to do a sign up night, we will go out and post and pay for Geo Fencing ads. And Gabe Rodriguez, one of our district executives, he's our staff liaison for that program this year. And then I would also encourage and challenge you at the unit level to also do that. We encourage you to go out and spend $1 or $2 a day with Facebook, and then advertise and promote 7 to 10 days before your event. And I won't get into a lot of details, but you're able to customize those ads by age, sex, hobbies, interests, and a bunch of different parameters that Facebook gives you. And then when somebody's phone goes inside of a 3 or 5 mile radius and they meet those criteria, they're going to get a pop-up ad from us about those events. So again, we're going to continue to do that, and would encourage you to do that as well. The Cub Scout activity days that we had mentioned a little while ago, we did one on Saturday at the office. We had 17 kids. The only thing we ask is that you call the office about 3 days in advance and tell us you're coming. Tell us the number of kids that you're bringing. And at most of those events, when you look at that, the kids are going to have a chance to shoot slingshots, BB guns, bows and arrows, and probably make a craft and maybe have a snack. Please bring your neighbors and your friends. It's absolutely free. If we can get them to sign up, we'd love them to do that, but they don't have to. We had mentioned online registration. The national organization has made it easier than ever for youth members to register online. In the state of Pennsylvania, we still can't have adults register because of the Pennsylvania background checks and our youth protection requirements. So we're still not able to do that, but we can get the kids registered. It's now easy enough to do that on your smartphone as well. So, you know, your laptop, your tablet, your smartphone, you can do that as well. Jim sort of mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to introduce you to a term called Journey to Excellence, and we abbreviate that as JTE. But that's a framework where we set out criteria for a unit to achieve certain measures and goals throughout the year. And those scorecards are in the program launch tab, and it says JTE on that. So what I would encourage everybody to do, if you have not done that yet, is upload either the pack form, the troop form, the crew form, and take that to your committee and look at how you're going to try to meet those parameters. And then you self-assess at the end of the year, and in the month of December, turn that form back into your district executive. If you're a little bit late and you do it in January of next year, that's okay, but they're really due before the end of this year. And basically, they're measures that the Boy Scouts knows through best practices that successful units, Jim had mentioned, has a budget, has a fundraising plan, has an activity plan, has enough volunteers, to run all the dens and oversee the patrols, et cetera, with that. So we encourage you to take a look at those JTE forms. And for those of us at the council and district level where we volunteer, this program no longer exists at the district level or the council level. Our national organization is rolling out a new program that we expect to have more information on later this year. Jerry had mentioned the rollout of a membership initiative that I heard about last night from our council commissioner, and he was at a meeting about a week or so ago. But our staff, my staff doesn't even know this yet, but we're going to be on a conference call with all of the other field staff members in the Boy Scouts of America on June the 10th. We've got a national meeting through Zoom to talk about membership for the remainder of the year and this theme around Escape the Great Indoors. And then I believe on Saturday, June the 26th, there'll be another meeting for volunteers. So as soon as we get that information, we'll roll that out. We'll make sure everybody knows about that. But like our national organization does membership and marketing meetings occasionally throughout the year, this one will probably be a couple-hour initiative, and will be done by the national staff. So Jerry, you want to talk about fall product sale?
Sure. Real quick before I get to that, Brian had mentioned about the Geo Fencing on Facebook for getting your word out there. I will say that I'm with a small pack in the west end of Schuylkill County, and in the fall we recruited 4 new boys all through the Facebook Geo Fencing, and those 4 new boys were a quarter of what our pack is now. So it does work. So take advantage of it. Put Gabe to work a little bit, let him get those out there for you, and you will see benefits. And again, all 4 of those registered online, so I had to touch no paperwork. It's really become much easier than what it has. But yeah, the next part of what we're looking at and what you need to run a successful program is funding. We talked about membership. Of course, we need boys, but if you don't have boys and girls in your units, and when you do, you need to be able to fund what you would need to do. So on that, I'm going to turn it over to Ann Bruger, who's going to briefly talk about our fall product sale this year and our new supplier. So Ann?
Yes, good evening, everybody. So this year we are changing our popcorn vendor. We're still going to do popcorn and nuts. We're still going to do nuts with Whitley's. Our popcorn vendor is actually, I'm just going to type it right in the chat, because as soon as I say it, people are going to say, what? It's called Pecatonica River. And I will tell you, the product is fantastic. I'm very thrilled with the quality. I'm very thrilled with what they have available for us. If you can see my screen right now, this is the caramel, the $10 caramel. It actually comes in a bucket. So if you remember last year, Camp Masters did away with the tin, and Trails End did away with the tin a very long time ago. So Pecatonica River has a plastic bucket for the $10 caramel, and it's cute and it's scouty, and I believe people will really enjoy it. They have buckets at a couple other levels. They have tins at many levels. They also offer a wide variety of marketing items for units to generate enthusiasm internally within the unit, but also to help you with marketing. One of the things they have is a table tent that talks about the popcorn sale that parents can take to work and put in a break room or something like that. And we'll have those items available for many of the for all units, and you'll be able to share them with many of your scouts. Whitley's is also working on a door hanger that will be available. I know we used door hangers last year to get the word out to neighbors that we didn't see in person. And I think that's something that will continue to be very useful in 2021. Pricing will be similar to last year. There will be some changes. As you know, there's changes every year, but we'll have $10 items on up. Still working on what's going to be show and sell and what's going to be take order, but we'll have that information at a future product sale kickoff. I'm looking, I know everybody wants to know the dates. It looks like at this point, the show and sell distribution is going to be on August the 25th. And it looks like the take order distribution will be on November the 11th. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start reaching out to the Wawas, the Rudders, Cabela's, and see what their comfort level is going to be with us selling. I would suspect that we will need to continue to be creative like we were in 2020, but I will tell you that our units in the Hawk Mountain Council did very, very well last year with selling, and we're very creative. And I know some units came up with ideas that they will continue to do in 2021 because they worked really well. So, and compared to other units across the country, we did pretty well. And for Whitley's, we were, as a percentage of what we sold in 2019, we were the top selling percentage-wise unit that Whitley's worked with in the fall. So that's what I got. Are there any questions for me? I know I just threw out a lot of information, but okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Looking forward to the new vendor and the products that they're going to have. So that's exciting.
Did I say
Okay,
the
so
product
now-
is, Jerry, did I say the product is fantastic?
I believe you said it the first time with even a little bit more emphasis than that, Ann. So I'm ready for a sample whenever you have any. So just let me know. So now we've signed kids up into our unit. We have people involved. We've now figured out how we're going to fund our unit for the year. So what's the next part of that? Program, because if you don't have a good program, we're naturally not going to keep people involved. So on that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle, and she can talk about camp a little bit.
Hi there. I just wanted to let you know we're still taking reservations for camp, both on the Cub Scout side and on the Boy Scout side. If you want to know about camp, and you go to our website and you click on outdoor programs and then Hawk Mountain Scout reservation, if you scroll down, you'll see where it says Camp Mead summer programs. It'll say Cub Scouts, year-round camping. It'll even show you some pictures of the leadership team as well as forms. So you should be able to find pretty much everything you need in that space. As far as year-round camping, so we're open to a lot of different things. We've tried to be creative this past year. If you want to have a blue and gold ceremony or whatever, you can certainly come out, rent the dining hall for, a day rate or an afternoon rate, and do your ceremonies. We've had packs coming out and just paying a nominal fee to rent a pavilion, to do activities and to do fishing and some other things, but they're just coming out for the day. If you're looking for a conservation project, we have lots of those that can be done at camp, and we'll be happy to work with you on those. Just had a Cub Pack paint all the wood for a butterfly garden that they're going to put together in a couple of weeks. So just give me a call or send me an email. We're pretty flexible about what we can do at camp, and we'd be happy to have you out.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. Just want to remind everybody to look at the council calendar, just as far as activities or when certain committees meet. If you're looking to figure out when you can attend your first district roundtable, those dates are on the calendar. Special events are on the calendar. And as a staff, we're working on updating that currently. and we're actually building out the rest of the council's calendar for this year and also next year. So for any committee chairs that are on the call, the staff's going to be working with you in the next 4 weeks to build our council master calendar. And we intend on having that, as Jim had mentioned, rolled out to everybody by the end of June at the latest. So that calendar would, again, be for the remainder of this year and next year with that. So, Cole, do you want to show us a couple changes and updates on the website?
Yes, sir. Let me key it up here and then good to go. Oh, we're pulling this up. Thank you everyone for attending tonight. I know without you all here, the program would not be a thing. So thank you much. Okay, it's loaded. Alrighty. So, and Brian, if I missed anything, please let me know. So the couple things we're going to touch on is the virtual scouting hub. Brian mentioned that. That changed up. Easiest way to find it, just type in virtual scouting hub and hit enter. And when the internet cooperates, it takes you there. So it says click here. You can see a preview of it before you do that, but you really want to click here and it takes you to the actual page. And then there it is. And we're constantly building this out, working on it. And if any of you have any suggestions for it, please let us know. Wealth of resources on here, Cub Scout, Scouts BSA, all through that. The other one is the digital resources that Brian mentioned, new tab. You can click it and it'll take you right to this. It'll also give you the virtual scouting hub drop down as well. So you can get to it from that one. This spring, we're doing the virtual merit badges. So that shows up here. And other digital resources will be added as they become relevant and helpful. Other thing too, the annual program launch, that's today, what we're on right now. So click on that. That's the info there. And then we will have the resources that we talked about today on here as well. So there you go. Mr. Brian, anything to add?
Cole, can you scroll down to the bottom of the website?
Sure.
And click on the program launch. Yep.
Okay. Yep. 2021 program launch resources. This will show up at the bottom here as well. You can also search for that. So this is those resources I was telling you about after that. So Brian did mention frequently searched documents earlier in the meeting. Those are here. So if you click here, it'll take you to a page. And then these go directly to scouting.org. So as the information changes on the destination, it'll change just by clicking here. So it'll always be updated. So you don't have to worry about this being a static list. So, and then various tabs throughout here, scouting at home, registration applications and more. Journey to excellence. Right. Yes.
Can you click on the membership and the recruiting resources?
Sure.
So we had mentioned Facebook. If you want a tutorial on that, you sort of kind of know what you're doing with that. We've got 2 links that are there. Cole, if you click on marketing and membership for me. There's where I had mentioned scoutingwire.org and what we call the brand center. Our school flyers this year, when we produce them and print them and work with you to do that, the volunteers and the kids are wearing masks. We also have them where they're not. But we do believe as an organization, as Hawk Mountain Council, we want to portray that image of safety. And at least now in our minds, you know, here at the end of April, that means wearing a mask. So, you know, that's an initiative of the council to do that. And, you know, I'm sure we all hope in a matter of months, we can stop wearing those masks. But until that's accepted practice, we want to portray that image. Thanks, Cole. If you scroll back up to the top of the website, Cole, we made one other change at the very top. where it says join today, we've combined some resources there, also with the Scouts BSA, with that. So where we had one that said new to scouting, with that. So we've taken that away, but that material has now fallen underneath of join today, and also under Scouts BSA. So again, that's changed just a little bit, with that. So this is done by volunteer and committee, and Dwayne Kraus, our finance director, is working on building this. So Dwayne, we appreciate everything that you do. So again, I say that because our finance guy is our lead staff member on the website. So other councils that are larger than ours, they've got dedicated staff of maybe 2 or 3 people that work on these kind of things, and Dwayne shares responsibilities with that. So we appreciate that very much. Eric Silva was on the call, and I'm not sure if Eric's back yet.
Well, he's
Eric,
there.
Jim had mentioned a term Black Pug, or maybe that was Jerry, but those of you that have registered for programs and activities, we use a program called Tentaroo, and we're going to be ending that contract with them shortly, and have engaged in a new contract with a company called Black Pug, which will allow, we believe, an easier entry point into registration for our programs.
Eric's back on there, Brian.
Thanks, Wayne. So you will no longer have to basically register. You can go in as a guest and register for programs, and you don't have to create an account. Register is not the right word. You don't have to create an account in Tentaroo if you don't want to. But for unit leaders that do want to, you certainly can, and there's much more functionality in that program. So, Eric, you want to take a couple minutes to more eloquently, describe some of the benefits of Black Pug?
I don't know what you said, Brian, so I'm assuming it was all good.
Yeah, it was all good. Didn't say much. Talked a lot, but didn't say much.
Yeah, I did prepare just a quick overview for people, I guess, just to understand why we made the choices that we made, and some of the benefits of it. So I think if I can share. So hopefully everybody can see the screen. A lot of people might be asking, like, why we just moved to Tenaroo away from our old system back in 2019. So why are we changing again? And the reason is that a lot of volunteers, both the end users as well as the volunteers that manage events within the system, felt like their hands were tied and it was very difficult to work with the system. So they asked for something better. So we wanted to look for something that was easier for our volunteers as well as our families to use, more flexible for all of the variety of events that we have at Hawk Mountain, especially a need for custom fields. We had that in the previous system before Tenaroo, and it really restricted our ability to collect certain things especially for larger events like Wood Badge and NYLT and Order the Arrow events. So the ability to gather custom information for our participants was needed. And then on the back end of things, just the need for better reporting and notifications, especially for those that are managing and coordinating events, was some of the feedback that was received. Black Pug is developed and run by current and former scouters, so they know the role that we all play within the organization and the types of things that we do. And so the features that are in the system are to benefit this organization specifically. It's used by over 100 different BSA councils across the country. One of the nice things that it does have is it has a full featured calendar, which will allow us to seamlessly integrate that with our council website, as well as our Order the Arrow Lodge website. So we don't have to manage different calendars in different locations. We manage all the events in the calendar in one place, and then we can have different views of that calendar, whether it be by the council level, by the district level, specific key activities, whether they be training related or camp related. You can then filter that single calendar based upon the type of view and type of the audience that you want to visualize that to. I think, Brian, I heard him mention one of the nice things is you can register for any event without having to create an account. which is nice for families who don't want to have to go through that process of creating an account just to register their scout for a particular event. Another nice feature that we've are anticipating is the ability to have a pure online store to sell merchandise either through, I know the council has been running auctions for fundraising. The lodge with the Order of the Arrow wants to sell merchandise for a variety of things by having an online store. Makes it a little bit nicer experience instead of having to attach everything to a specific event and having to register for an event just to purchase items, which is how we have to sort of manipulate it within Tentaroo. And there's a lot of other features in there that we haven't even scratched the surface on that's going to allow us to fully customize it to work with how Hawk Mountain Council wants to utilize the registration system. When is it going to be available? We'll officially start using it in mass starting in September. There will be some events and capabilities that you'll see using Black Pug earlier than that. That includes our Golden Jubilee registration that will be coming up in the next month or so, as well as I mentioned, the Order of the Arrow wants to use the online store capabilities for some things as well. So you'll see those sooner than later. And then an overall timeline. We started this analysis and selection process back in February. Then went through, I think Brian mentioned, we had to renew some contracts and do all the legal piece of it. In March, the council key volunteers and key employees have been working through going through some online trainings through the month of April. There will be a detailed overview of the Black Pug system, hopefully with some screenshots and visualizations as well, so you can sort of see what it looks like in the next month. And through the summer, we'll be piloting some events and activities on Black Pug and then officially using it in full in September. And that's the end of my little talk.
Thank you, Eric. Eric mentioned the Jubilee, and I'm not sure whether Jim mentioned that in any detail or not about an hour ago, but the first weekend in October, our 50th anniversary that technically is being celebrated in our 51st year is taking place now in Schuylkill County at the fairgrounds. So we are encouraging every pack, crew, troop, post to attend the event. Folks will be able to camp. Basically, the program is going to be on Saturday, first Saturday in October. And then Sunday morning, we'll wake up, pack up, tear down with that, etc. But basically, it's a big birthday party. So we encourage anyone to do that. There'll be midway vendors there. There'll be games, activities, just all kinds of stuff. If you're not familiar with the Schuylkill County Fairgrounds, it's about 3 miles-ish from camp. So we'll be doing some activities at camp and running some shuttles back and forth, but the majority of the program will take place at the fairgrounds. As Eric had mentioned, registration we intend to have open up in May. So we encourage you to do that, ask questions with that. It is a fundraiser this year for the council as well. Michelle had mentioned camp, and camp registration is nowhere close to what it has been the last several years. So the council is really working on a tight budget this year. So any opportunities that we have to do fundraising, we certainly appreciate our volunteers and the community participating in those programs to help us maintain a full staff with you. We've been lucky enough through COVID to have a full staff the entire time, and not every council around Hawk Mountain has been able to do that. I know some friends that have lost their jobs because of COVID and had worked not too far away from Berks County. Jerry, anything that you want to say in closing here? Because we're getting ready to wrap up. We'll take some questions and things as well.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Anybody have any questions at this time that maybe we didn't cover or went through pretty quickly that you didn't quite get? Okay, I'm not hearing any, so we did a pretty good job of staying on schedule tonight. I just want to remind everybody that, I try not to listen to the news too much today because there's really not too much positive going on there, but it's kind of also hard to avoid. So we all kind of know how the state of our country is right now. And it should be comforting to you all to know that scouting is still about those values that this country was built on and what's made this country a great country. And we still need to push those values out to the youth and continue our movement forward. And scouting can do that. So I want to thank you all for joining tonight. If you have any questions, please reach out. We're here to help you. I want to thank all the staff who put all the effort into putting this together tonight, and the staff for all the effort that they put in this past year. When COVID hit, with scouting, they say be prepared, and we're pretty prepared for everything. But COVID was one of those that kind of tried to cut us off at the knees. But as a council, we continue to move forward. We continue to function. And here we are today, program launch 2021, looking forward to what we hope is a bright future in scouting. So if nobody else has any other questions or anything to add, some stuff popped up in chat. I just want to make sure. Okay, Cole sharing about peer-to-peer business cards being available. Again, anything you need help with, anything you need questions, reach out to your DEs, your district chair, Brian, myself, any of the other volunteers. I honestly feel you were in the right council at the right time. We have a great bunch of volunteers who are willing to do what they can to help you. And I mean, I think the introduction of this Black Pug should be reinforcement of that, because we heard what you were saying. We heard your complaints, your questions, your concerns with the system we were using, and we've moved on. And so that's a big step for us to be able to do that and continue moving on. Same way with popcorn, we're always looking for things that are bigger and better. So again, thank you to everybody. And if nobody else has anything else, everybody have a good evening and safe travels back to your couches. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jerry. Jerry, can you hang on for a minute?